Newsbrief, the augmented reality company Magic Leap, has acquired Mimesys, a Belgium-based startup behind co-presence technology that brings hologram-like projections to our conferences. While a handful of companies have already tried their hand at integrating personalized avatars into their cores and conferences, Mimesys tech allows those using Magic Leap VR headsets to see realistic 3D avatars based on actual images of a course participants. Though terms of the acquisition were not released, a press release from Magic Leap notes that the move significantly boosts the company's co-presence and communication offerings, as we expand the spatial computing ecosystem, integrating a best-in-class communication and collaboration solution helps us to further fulfill the promise of the next computing platform, said Magic Leap Chief Product Officer Omar Khan in a statement. Register now for XRDC 2019, the premier Mr. event for devs. Bungie outlined 8 distinct design pillars when it set out to create what would become Destiny 2, X-Player vs. Everything vs. Player mode Gambit. But the only reason the mode became what it is today is because the dev team knew that breaking rules can sometimes be as important as making them. That was the big takeaway from Peter Sarrett's talk on the creation of Gambit during the Game Developers Conference this year. A talk that highlighted how many of the elements that make Gambit work as well as it does would not have come to be without a great deal of iteration and some healthy disregard for the rules. As Gambit is today, 2 teams of 4 players are dropped into 2 identical but separate arenas, fight through waves of enemies, collect the motes enemies drop, and stockpile enough motes to summon the round's final boss. Dying with motes means they are lost for good, but depositing a large amount at once can send additional complications over to the enemy team. It's a sort of strategic race between the 2 sides to see who can pull this off first. And there are a number of ways teams can complicate matters for their competitors throughout the game as well. The elevator pitch for Gambit was "Hello Firefight meets Super Puzzle Fighter," explains Sarrett. They wanted to make an endgame regional for pay players, equivalent to the trials of the 9 competitive mode that experienced PvP players had to turn to. Gambit was meant to have elements of both halves of Destiny's gameplay, but not enough PvP to scare off pay players was our hope. It had to be something with enough variability to be replayable and fit into Destiny 2 as other weekly rituals. Compared to the pay activities Bungie had already worked on, it needed to feel more replayable than strike missions, and have longer legs than the wave-based Prison of Elders activity from the first Destiny. Knowing when to back away from lofty design goals, the team laid out that they deal 2 teams to compete against each other in 2 separate but identical arenas. But the prototypes they built by sticking to those pillars struggled to capture the competitiveness that they were going for in the activity. If I cannot see the other team, why do I care about them? We had not come up with an answer to this, and it was a really critical question. Some early versions had view screens on Windows players could use to see the other team, but nothing quite worked. Looking back over their design pillars, Sarrett says it became apparent that we did not have a good answer for why cannot I shoot the other team outside of lofty design goals. So the no direct player interaction pillar was cut, and playtest feedback showed that Gambit was instantly better for it because of how the 2 maps were set up. Letting a player from one team bravely invade the enemy side as a PvP threat was easy to implement, and Sarrett says that adding a human threat radically changed the drama and tension. It took some balancing to find out how often players should be able to invade and work out the risk-reward balance. Doing so, but once that balance was struck, invasions became one of Gambit's defining features. We wanted to encourage pay players who win be caught in with this mode to try invasion. But it was unfortunately easy to make invading feel too risky for inexperienced PvP-ers. After some tweaking, it was decided that an invader would drop 3 motes if they died mid-invade, because while the team wanted taking down an enemy combatant to feel like an accomplishment, setting the mote reward too high made it too intimidating for the players they were making Gambit for. Ironically, we succeeded by failing, said Sarrett. We did not find a way to make the players care about the other team without direct player interaction. And it turns out that was the secret sauce that really makes Gambit stand out. Finding solutions in plain sight. With the PvP spirit of the PvEvP mode captured, the next challenge was to fine-tune Gambit's card loop. It was a mode meant for pay players, so the objective of killing waves of enemies was given. Introducing motes added an extra level of complexity on top of just a basic wave clear. Collecting and banking a set amount of motes before the other team was how games would be won, and adding a timer to how long those motes would stick around in the level helped Bungie force players to enter and stay on the move. Instead of just killing, now you are constantly cycling through that loop. It makes for a much more interesting mode. Incorporated raising or decreasing the number of motes an enemy would drop gave designers more balancing tools to play with, and, as an added bonus, the little explosion of bright rewards from a freshly downed enemy gave players a rewarding dopamine rush. Depositing motes in a central bank let teams send blocker enemies over to the other side, a concept that was essentially borrowed directly from Super Puzzle Fighter, and prevents players from depositing motes until the enemies have been cleared. But the simple goal of just quickly depositing motes did not quite feel as satisfying and fell short of the comebacks are always possible pillar. Something was still missing, said Sarrett, ending a round by filling a bank. Often felt anticlimactic. The end snuck up on you, and it was hard for a trailing team to make a comeback. In the final version of Gambit, disputing motes is a means to an end. Players bank 75 motes to summon a boss-level, primeval enemy that requires teamwork and strategy to take down, making for an intense end to a match. Originally, however, promos were only a tie-breaking mechanic that popped up when both sides failed to fill their banks in time. Making that battle the climax of each round gave players more situations to prepare for outside of just an up clear. Brought the whole team together at the very end of the round to all around made Gambit matches more exciting and watchable. We realized that the answer to our problem had been hidden in the game all along, and we just had not played with it enough. By the end of it all, the Gambit team had created something that Bungie leadership dubbed too much fun to lock away as an endgame activity, leading the team to knock down two of its original design pillars. So, outside of knowing when to back away from your original design decisions, Sarrett offers two more pieces of advice. Focus on the things players are already doing. Simple is always better, and using existing player habits to craft new experiences makes something that is simple to pick up and understand subconsciously. Players do not always know what they want. No one was asking Bungie to make a PvEvP mode, he says. Sometimes it's good to surprise and delight them with something they did not even know they wanted. Valve has opened up the use of a handful of APIs to partner Steam developers. granting them tools geared toward better multiplayer play. Developers can find a full rundown of exactly what Valve has offered up in a Steamworks post. But in short, the release grants access to Valve's own network infrastructure and additional tools, like the SteamnetworkingUtils API and the SteamnetworkingSockets API. With these tools at their disposal, Valve says devs should be able to offer faster and more secure connections to those playing multiplayer games using Valve's network. For example, anonymized traffic and protects game servers and clients from DDoS attacks, and ultimately makes it more difficult for external forces to disrupt gameplay. Valve also notes that this setup can improve ping time experienced by players and says that 43% of players saw an improvement in ping time under this system. The SteamnetworkingUtils API offers devs tools for estimating pings, something explained in the full post, and the SteamnetworkingSockets API acts as a general-purpose transport library for games, and has features geared towards encryption and authentication, as well as fragmentation, reassembly, and retransmission, both of which are also available in the open-source version of the API.